and the kings were drinking in that.
So whoever misses class and watches this, I'm sorry. All right, so getting into element 3, and this is where you have to make those tough decisions to eliminate those behaviors in your building that are not wanted. I always think about I can handle physical bullying because I can see that in the building. I can handle emotional bullying because I can hear the kids tell me, oh, she said this about me, or he was doing this at recess and made me feel this way. Cyberbullying is such a big deal these days, and it's the hardest thing to police. And I will tell you, you will spend hours when you get into a cyberbullying case. So just being having a pulse on what's going on in the school kind of helps with some of that. And always cultivating the behavior you want. We say at my school is that are you meeting the Maverick expectation? And they know what that Maverick expectation is. And so you will have to build up that tolerance for what your desired behavior is. And then kids will start self advocating for that behavior to be present in the school. Academic safety. I love this one because this is when you walk in a classroom and you see kids raising their hands and you see kids getting the answer wrong, but being in tune to, I got it wrong and my teacher's going to help me get it right. That's that academic safety because you want kids to be able to take risks and you want them to be able to say, I want to be in an advanced course. I want to be able to take this harder course because I can push myself. That's that academic safety. So, in conclusion, as we wrap up core values, as the school leader, you need to be able to know what your core values are so that you can communicate them and they can be seen through your decisions, your actions, and the policies that you are going to establish as the leader. What you value will create the climate of your school. I'm going to pause and see if there are any questions after we've finished up core values. Oh, wait, we got somebody trying. All righty. So let's roll into domain 6, resource management, which has become one of my favorite domains. Like I said, 3 years ago, I felt skittish here, but now I'm like rocking and rolling. Um, this is broken into the elements where you have to ensure that the management of your fiscal, technological, and physical resources of the school that they're supporting effective instruction and achievement of each school. Sometimes you go into a school and you have to do an assessment. And once you do an assessment of all the things that are taking place, and your leadership team comes to you and they're like, we have used that program in years. No, we don't sign on to that. And you'll start looking at stuff and you're paying $20,000 for a computer program that no one even taps into. It's so important to tap into those resources. Look at those reports. Who's using it? Who's not? Can we only buy it for this grade because they're the only grade that's using it? It's those little things that you start having to put your hand on to make sure that you're being fiscally sound. And then in element 2, you're utilizing systemic processes to engage your district and internal entities in support of school improvement. You may have companies, you may have outside sources that are sponsors of your school, but you're wanting to be smart in the way that you reach out to those entities and tell them how they're supporting the school. And then the school leader engages in compliance. That's how we stay employed. You are compliant with district, state, and federal rules and regulations, and they're all supporting effective instruction and achievement of students. I always tell people my bookkeeper keeps me out of jail because I walk in there, can I spend this on this? And she's like, nope. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I walk back out. And then I walk back in a few minutes later. Can you figure out where I can move something so I can buy this? You have to have a person who's in charge of your books that knows what they're doing and that they understand the rules and regulations to keep you compliant as well. Because I'll be honest, you don't know all things, even though you want to. Operational management. And I know y'all have to hit this in your PCL standard 9 when you do your practicum, or it's on your assessment, I think. Making sure that you are up to date on the day-to-day business of the school. This is that managerial part that I talked about. You have to manage, and there's no way around that. You have to have careful attention to your budget, what technology is supporting the teaching and learning, and then you have to also know that everything you do has to have a purpose. And that's that resource management. You have to know what's going on. Element 1, as we break it down, you are ensuring the management of the fiscal, technological, and physical resources of the school, and that they're supporting instruction and achievement. If it's not doing that, why are we doing it? That's always the question. Are we seeing any gains from using this program? If the answer is no, why are we paying for it? Why are we actually spending academic minutes on this? So, as the leader, you have to balance that piece of being the operational manager and that instructional leader. And I will tell you, instructional leadership is where you should spend minutes of the day when there are teacher and kids present. You should be an instructional leader because the building is not on fire, so you can handle operational things when everybody goes home. And that's what I had to tell my assistant principal. This is not a 7 to 3 job. This is a can to can't job. Because some days we're like, I can't, my brain will not make me do anything else. And we go home and it may be 6 o'clock. But there are other days where we're out of there at 4, never 3, but at 4. But you have to understand that if I'm going to be an instructional leader, I'm going to be in classrooms. I'm going to be in meetings with teachers as they're planning during the instructional minutes of the day. So I may have to sit down with my bookkeeper who gets off at 3:30. She may be there with me until 4 o'clock because this is when I can sit down and we can do operational things. Then you have to ask the question, does my faculty and staff have the adequate materials to teach effectively? This is when your leadership team is so vital to you. Is their student achievement linked to effective use of resources? I think I've already touched that. And are my budgets clearly aligned and prioritized to support instruction and achievement? These are questions you're constantly asking yourself. As we hit element 2, does the school leader utilize systemic processes to engage district and external entities? Have you assessed all the available resources provided by the district? Have you stopped to look at all your pacing guides? Does the school leader strategically seek out and acquire external support, grants, business, community members, university support? There are things out there that we have to tap into as school leaders because our budget does not extend as far as we need it to go. Then you have to start asking yourself as we look at element 3, am I compliant? Have I looked at what the district supplies with the federal, state, and local requirements are? And you have to be knowledgeable of these regulations and plan accordingly. Like I said, I don't know them all and they change from year to year. They change from politician to politician. So I do rely heavily on the bookkeeper because she's in those meetings when they are changing things and things have to look a little bit differently. And then look at bullet 3. You are ultimately responsible for everything in that building. Are these IEPs being followed? Is my data specialist making sure my MSIS data up to date? Is the school's accounts and funding in order? You have so many management responsibilities that you literally have to wrap your head around all those things, and you have to learn to delegate and trust the people you put in those places until they tell you you can't trust them, and then it becomes a micromanagement situation. All right, let's see here. Clicking out. I know that was a lot. It was like a speed date of information, but again, it's just an overview of what those 2 domains represent, and they are really good reading topics because again, core values guide your culture and climate, and your resources is how you're going to affect what happens instructionally. So we have gone through that. I am going to share my screen with you again, but let me get to where I need to be in here. Just a moment, guys. We are rolling into week 6. Yes, week 6. Wow. Summer months go by so fast. All righty. Oh, wait. I am not in the right view. Let me go back out to give me a moment. You're seeing it from my side of it. I try to put it in student view so y'all have a better view where it looks like it's not vomiting. Because in my view, it looks like it's vomiting because it can add and take away things. All righty. Now it makes more sense this way. All righty. So we're rolling into week 6 of this cohort. So we don't have a whole lot due, which is great because it is 4th of July week. But we do have the last domains project, assignment due where you have to read, and we've just gone through 5 and 6 and turn that in. But what I would like for us to kind of look at and talk about is your mock evaluation that is coming up. And it's not due to July 20th, but I want us to kind of talk about what the ins and outs of that assignment is. And if you have any questions about the group project part 2, we can have those discussions at the end. But I like to just stay forward with what's coming up. And so we have a virtual class on July 19th, FYI. I thought they canceled that, but I guess not. Anywho, we do have our mock evaluation that's coming up. And when you get into the mock evaluation, you have several different videos here that you can watch. And then you're going to do a mock evaluation of that teacher. We're going to do something like that in just a minute, just to practice. But I want to go through a little bit of this assignment before we do our little practice run. So one thing that I want us to look at is that you will have 3 phases of this assignment that you have to turn in, right? After you watch the video, you're going to do a scripting of what you've seen. So you need a sheet of paper for our mock evaluation that we're going to do. You just need 1 sheet of paper, and you're going to fold it in half, hot dog style, I guess we call that. So you're just going to take a sheet of paper and fold it the long way. Just like that. Mine isn't very neat. And I was an elementary school teacher. I should have a perfect fold. So that's what you'll need in just a moment. Okay. But I want to talk about the pieces of this assignment, because every time we get to this, students turn in a part of it and not all of it. So you will have to turn in what is called a scripting form A. The scripting form is where you write down the things that you watched in the video. The teacher did this, the student did this. And that's what we're going to practice in just a minute. And then the second thing you have to turn in is the evidence sorting option A form. And I'm going to show you guys these forms. You have to turn that in. The third thing that you are required to do for this assignment is a narrative. And that is just written in Word. It is not 14 pages. It's just a short summary of what you saw. And I'm going to get down here to it. Paragraph 1 of the narrative is just an evaluation. You're going to briefly cover what occurred during the observation. You're going to take your scripting form and put it in a narrative, basically, talking about what you saw the teacher doing, the students doing. And I'm going to tell you this part. If you don't hear anything else I say, I need you to hear this part. In order to get credit for paragraph 1, you have to tell what is the expected number of evaluations and what type is required in a given year using the Mississippi Performance Growth System. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. So it's not I got you, because I'm going to tell you exactly what should be in paragraph 1. And then in paragraph 2, this is your reflection part. And you can use the I's, the my's, the me's, the my's when you get to paragraph 2. And you have to answer how you felt during the evaluation. Was the instrument easy to follow? And what difficulties you may have encountered or found difficult to understand. Those are the pieces in paragraph 2 that I'm looking for. Y'all, I'm not looking to catch anybody off guard. When you see comments in the margins about these things, it's because I can't find it. I can't read it. I don't see it. Okay. And for those of you guys who do different disciplines, Dr. Sellers tries very hard to find videos that can come across the scope. So we have a 3rd grade ELA, a 6th grade ELA, a 4th grade math, and a 10th grade math video. Only select one. And the good thing is you get to rewind and go back if you miss something or watch it again. And that way your rubric is here for all the things that are looked for as I'm grading your assignment. Please read the rubric. All righty, I'm going to come out of here because I want to spend a moment showing you guys the actual performance growth system. I don't know if you've seen this booklet before. Hopefully you have, because this is what you're rated on as an educator in the state of Mississippi if you work in Mississippi. So, as I said, part of that first paragraph, you have to tell me how many observations that are expected in the state of Mississippi. It is right there, guys. It's not an I got you moment. And what kind of observations? There are 3 minimum per year in the state of Mississippi. 2 have to be informal and they can be unannounced. 1 has to be a formal and it has to be announced. That is what the state of Mississippi requires from every administrator to do for educators. It is not an I got you moment. This is in your Canvas module. All you have to do is download it, look it up. I am on page 8 of the document. It is not an I got you, I promise. So that has to be in paragraph 1 to get the points for paragraph 1. Okay? Any questions about that? I think my coffee's cold. All right, so as we think about observations and feedback, there is a feedback cycle. You walk in a classroom, you do an observation, and I'm on the wheel, or you can look down here, but I'm on the wheel. You go into a classroom, you do an observation. You're looking for clear, specific, you're looking for things that can give you clear, specific, actionable, and timely feedback. After you've sat down with that person, after you've observed them and you've had a nice conversation about their observation, you've given those actionable actions that they need to take. You are looking for changes in their practice. Then you're going to follow up. There may be another observation, there may be another sit down for more feedback to talk about those changes. I always say this to teachers. Observations and feedback should not be an I got you moment. They should be a wow, look at what you're doing. I believe in the Rutherford training. And in the Rutherford training, he says there are 23 talents that every teacher can possess. No teacher possesses all 23. So when I go in a classroom, I'm looking for those talents to complement, to leave I leave a sticky note that says, thank you for providing students with a class full of overt responses. That's one of the talents, which means there was a great Q&R session going on in that classroom. Or thank you for providing students with a place for relevancy. That means that the content that that teacher was giving, she connected it back to student lives or things that are going on in the community. So it's always me walking in and leaving something, I call it my happy note, to say, yay, you're doing these things. Now, when we sit down for the feedback, I'm not going to say, hey, why was your classroom in disarray? I'm going to say, hey, tell me why kids were like moving about freely. Tell me what they were doing. So I'm asking a question that they can clarify in the feedback. And it may be, oh, we were doing a sort in the room, so that's why they were running to this area and that area to figure out an answer. That way, I don't like for people to feel attacked, because I'm one of those people. If you come, I'm going to come too. Like I don't want to be attacked because I know what I'm doing in my classroom. So I want teachers to feel that way when they sit down with me, that they know what they're doing. They're the practitioner. Let's talk about it. That's the feeling I like to have. Julia, I saw your hand raised.
Yes, hi. This is some great information, first of all, let me just say. What is this called? You said Rutherford. What is this called? Can you spell that for me? I want to kind of do some research on it.
Oh, the Rutherford. So his Rutherford, Therford. He has a whole website about the artisan teacher, is what it's called. the artisan teacher. If you Google that, you will pull up his academy, his website, all the things. He actually came to our district and did some admin training, and I just got the luck of the long straw where that they didn't select many assistant principals, and so it was in my building, so I got to be a part of it, and so I have embraced it and loved it since. And when my new teachers, like I have a group of new teachers coming in this year, we'll sit down during our PD days and I'll go through it with them so that they feel comfortable, because I'm in a classroom for that particular, like if you were in my building, Julia, I would be in your room every other week. That's the schedule. I email it out on Friday. They know I'm coming. They know when their feedback is because they get a schedule. Your name's on it. Observe this time, this day, feedback this time, this day. Because I can't sit in a parent meeting and not know what you're doing, because I can't protect you if I don't know. So in another book, if you want to read about, is called The Leverage Leadership 2.0. That's another one that talks about the importance of principals or administrators, directors being people who walk alongside the practitioners, rather than overseeing them, because it's a difference. Okay, I could go back now, Julia. Okay. So with that being said, y'all take some time, go through this. If you've never seen it before, I would tell you to download it, because this is where your ratings come from. Whatever you see in the new MECA system, if you're in Mississippi, and you can go in and see how you have been rated as an as a practitioner, this is where your ratings come from. And if you've never seen this, your principal should be sharing this with you. I sit down with my teachers when we do a formal observation. They've seen this. We talk about why you are 4, why you are 3. What was the difference maker between a 3 and a 4? Because a 3 is not bad. I have to tell my teachers that all the time. I'm like, y'all, if we're going to say a 3 is bad, then you're going to tell a kid a 4 is bad. And we're not going to tell a kid on map that a 4 is bad. So stop it. Let's not go back and forth. But at the same time, I'm that educator. I always wanted 4s. I'm that human. So I understand also. So moving along, I'm going to come out of this, and I know this is not. Are y'all seeing my sorting form? Did it change? Okay, great. So this is the evidence sorting form, but I want to skip that one. I want to do the scripting form first. So the piece of paper that I ask you guys to fold in half, this is what we're going to do in just a minute with a video that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to play the video, and you're going to just script, right? And in your scripting, all you're going to do is talk about, like if you see where I put this, the teacher is using technology to share information with students. 6 out of the 10 students are actively listening and learning from the teacher as they are focused on technology being used. And you may want to write on here, the students are working in a small group on an activity. That part, you will get your flow as you're doing this and you're getting more comfortable with it. But we're going to do a practice run. So this is one of the sheets that is in your module that you'll need to download for when you watch your video so that you can complete this scripting form, right? This is one of the pieces that you will upload to complete the mock teacher evaluation. And we're going to practice this in just a minute. I'm going to go on back to the sorting form. When we start talking about how do we give a 4, what is it that we've seen that is a 4 or a 3 or a 2 or even a 1? And I always say, if it's a 1, I didn't see it. Like, you just didn't do this. So you have to look at, are the lessons aligned to standards and represent a coherent sequence of learning? And you're not going to see this in one sit down in a teacher's room. And that's where I caution educators, like, if your principal only comes to you one time and they give you a 4 for something, gives you a 1 for something, but they've never been in your room, but you've done it 52 times because they weren't in there, that's a point of conversation. Like, hey, I got a 1, but here's how I've done this in my classroom. Most administrators are willing to have that conversation. So we are going to look at this after we watch the video. However, when we get into, and I'm not trying to make y'all dizzy, but when we get into this part down here with the professional responsibilities, when you're doing this assignment to upload, you may not be able to see this the person you're watching, that teacher's professional responsibilities, because you don't know if she's going into professional learning, PLCs. You don't know that. You don't know if she's been observed this many times or that many times, if she's talking to colleagues, asking for feedback on instruction. So I've always said you can put here NA, down here in the evidence, NA for domain 4, because you can't see that in a video. Now, can you see culture of learning? You might. If you don't in your video, putting NA here does not hurt your grade for any of this, because can you see if she's communicating respectfully to all the students? I think you can, if there's a back and forth going on. So take caution on those, but domains 1 and 2, those are non-negotiables. You can see that, right? You can tell if the teaching is aligned to our standards. You can tell if the teacher is having meaningful connections as she's teaching that lesson. So 1 and 2, I expect there to be evidence and a rating for those 2 standards. Student understanding, you can see that in those videos, okay? All right, let me stop share here. I hate I don't have like elevator music, because I'm gonna need just a moment to get to the video. It's a YouTube. Y'all give me a minute here. Okay. Poor planning on my part. I get a 3 today, because normally I have these already pulled up and ready to go. My weekly. And no. All right. I am ready, because it doesn't take but a... There we go. Some soft music playing. All righty. Y'all are ready. You have your half sheet, your hot dog folded paper, or you should have your hot dog folded paper. On one side, you're going to do the teacher. On the other side, you're going to do the student, right? Teacher, student. And all you're going to do is write what you see the teacher doing, what you see the students doing, right? That's it. I'm making our online class interactive. Y'all should have smiles on your face. Many of you went through COVID. We had to stand on our heads to get these kids to get out of the bed, right? Okay, so this is your interactive lesson for the day. All righty, so we're going to watch a kindergarten teacher. And those of you guys in high school, every year when I do this, the high school people kind of cringe. She is a kindergarten teacher. Oh, come on now. You got to share correctly. Okay, we're going to get this share.
Doing something.
Wait, it did not share. We're going to get it to share. One more time. There we go. All righty.
I need to doing something for a moment, because I was thinking about the books, 2 of the stories we've read. Dominic, off the top. Oh. I was thinking about spring. No. And thinking about the story Down the Hill. And I was thinking, Davia, I was thinking about some of the things that are the same about the stories, and some of the things that are different. CJ, in your spot sitting up. I was thinking about some of the things that are the same and some of the things that are different. For help. We're going to put those things up here on what we call a Venn diagram. Can you say that? Venn diagram. Oh, one more time. Say it. Venn diagram. In order to do this, I'm going to need your help. So first, I need you to push your body so that not too close. Remember, don't touch the person in front of you. Let's go. Look, there's room right here. Scoot up. DJ, you need to be out from under the table. Okay, eyes right here. Thank you, Kieja. Eyes are up here. She's ready to learn. James is ready. Now I'm going to be the scout. A scout is going to be someone who watches, someone who's being it was snowing. Was it snowing in spring? No. Okay, so let's see. Down the hill. In the story Down the Hill, it was snowing. Is that snowing? Snowing. But I'm thinking, in the story Spring, was it snowing? No, because the snow melted. The snow had melted. I'm gonna put that because that's different. The snow melted. That's not the same, is it? Because it was sunny over here, huh? And then it's cold, I think. Oh, in both stories, they are at whose house? Oh. Todd's house. Oh, that's the same. In both stories, they are at Toad's house. Then Toad is what? Oh, did that happen in both stories, Devion? Yeah. Did Toad say block here? Yes. Did Toad say block here? Yeah. Listen. Frog said, winter is beautiful, come out and have fun. Blah, said Toad. Yeah. My name is So Toad said, blah. Blah. Yes. Right. We'll put that in a bubble because Toad said it. Office. Hi there, can I get a counselor to 108? You still talking counselor? Let me see. Let's look at what else is.
All right. We could go all the way through the lesson because it's a really good one. However, let's talk about it. And you do have to come off mute and participate. Tell me, what did you see teacher doing?
I saw her redirecting students,
Okay.
and then the students responding to try and get praise.
Okay, good. And if you are a PBIS school, she did that really well, like complimenting other kids and redirecting the one that would not figure it out. And it's kindergarten, they're learning to be in school. All right. Anything else? Anybody notice?
The teacher introduced the lesson talking about how things can be same or different, and she introduced the Venn diagram, and the students started responding, telling if it was snowing in which story or how were they both the same, and so they were able to answer the questions, and she used the book to refer to give examples for the students.
So if we talked about on the evidence sorting form, student evidence for student learning or student understanding, would you rate that a 4?
Yes,
Okay.
I would. I would because what I saw was at the very beginning how she was fun and engaging, how she drew them in actively with her tone of voice, her pitch for the story, and how she was introducing key pieces a little piece at a time to make sure they understand, and how when one student was off track, she brought them back to focus by saying, hey, eyes up here. She never did get out of character or out of tone. She stayed in the same character. So I would say that her engagement with the students was very good, and the students was actively learning because they were in there, they were diving in.
I would agree. So my first time watching this video, I was very critical of her. I've never taught kindergarten, never ever had the desire. They're like herding cats. You get them in the bucket and they bounce out. I could not. However, I thought she did a great job, and I wanted you to hear where she paged for the counselor, right? We know that page was for Davion. Because he would not calm down, and she redirected, and she did it in such a calm manner that none of the kids got out, and she kept teaching. So I as I've watched it over the years, and I praise her for what she's done in terms of the teaching. A Venn diagram for kindergartners. How cool is that? That's kind of
what
up
was
level thinking.
most impressive to me was the academic vocabulary she was using. I teach 4th grade, and so to hear her saying those things with those students, with the younger kids, it is a big deal to me to see that, just because they lack that component as they get older. They don't hear you automatically think 5-year-olds, kindergarten, they don't know what a Venn diagram is. But the earlier we introduce it, the more they pick up on it and learn it, and it makes it easier as they go. So I was really impressed with her use the academic vocabulary.
Good. Okay. So we've seen kindergarten. Are there any other comments? I don't want to rush this. Any other comments about the teaching or the students?
I thought she did a good job with the nonverbal cues she gave. It gave evidence kind of towards some of the culture of the classroom that she had spent time working on rituals and routines, and those students had learned early what, she doesn't have to stop class to correct or redirect. She can make a simple signal and they understand it.
Yes. I still don't want to teach kindergarten though. But she did a great job with that. So, okay, take your sheet of paper. You've written on one side. Now flip it this way because we're going to watch another teacher teach. And you're going to write on the opposite side. So we're not wasting paper. We're tree hookers. We don't really have to be in Mississippi because, they grow these. They're tree farms. So we're going to watch a 4th grade teacher who is also going to teach a lesson. And I want you to do
Learn
the same
Spanish
thing.
with Real Spanish TV.
You know,
Click on words in
the nature of YouTube, you are going to watch their commercials. Alrighty, so this is a 4th grade ELA teacher. So we're going to do the exact same thing, focusing in, and we're going to talk through the evidence sorting after we're done. Okay, did not want to share the first time. We'll go again. Okay, second time it doesn't want to share. Let me make sure we're there. It's open. There we go. 3rd time's the charm. And I am going to fast forward through this one.
What are we here to learn? We are. I can identify the main idea and supporting details from what I read and create a summary using the supporting details. Okay, give yourself a pat on the back if you're ready. Okay, let's turn those papers over that you have on your desk. This is your opportunity to do a closed reading activity where you read that article. You can use your pencil to highlight any information that you think will help you in finding the main idea. We're going to be using the reading cards, the blue reading cards. So when you're done, simply turn it over so we'll know when we can move on. You may begin. Only 1/2 inch long, and it is covered with scales that keep it from getting heavy and sinking. Writer, here we go. The first thing we're going to work on is across the top. What insect does a water strider resemble? How would you describe the size of a water strider? What fact can you select to show the speed of a water strider? Go.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so put a spider where.
What's your answer going to be?
Oh.
Okay.
The size of the water.
You're going to find it in the text. You have to be able to highlight it to use it for an answer. What fact can you select to show the speed of a water strider? Abby has an answer. Share it, Abby. What did you see?
I saw sentence 5. One, water sliders also have
Go on and finish.
good vision and can move quickly.
Awesome job.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, I heard my first group, water striders. I heard it. Okay, let's see if they've got it. Now they're going to help you out because remember when we respond, The first thing we do is tell the paragraph, then the sentence number, then we give our fact, but then we answer our question. And I'm going to type the answer up here. That way you'll make sure you've highlighted the correct section. Here we go. Which insect does a water strider resemble? Hudson, can you tell me where you found that answer?
Paragraph 2, sentence 1, a water strider is a water bug that looks like a large mosquito.
Okay, so he said paragraph 2, sentence 1. And what is your answer then?
A large mosquito.
A large mosquito. He is correct. Looking good. Next one. How would you...
All right, because she's more my speed, I love watching her. It's not kindergarten. Tell me, what are some things you listed as, and we're gonna do it in reverse. I know I asked for this teacher before. Tell me about the students in this video.
The students were very engaged. They worked well with one another, helping each other. It wasn't like it was kind of like a competition between each other. Like they were really focused on helping each other in the group understand how they got their answers, why they got their answers. And so I really like that. And they just knew, like, I guess you can say the overall culture in the classroom, like how everything was very tedious. Like, this is how we're going to look for answers. If we don't know something, this is how we're going to ask for it. And just the instructions. It's kind of like military style, but not really military style. It was kind of fun at the same time.
Okay. Anyone else want to add to that?
I like how the teacher reviewed the objective, the learning targets for students to know what they're learning for main idea. And all the students had their pencils, highlighters, and all their materials already on a desk. So when the teacher prompted them to start, they were able to start reading, highlight, and just have all the materials needed for that activity before they started working in groups.
To go in depth a little more on what Miss Stanton was saying, the teacher also, I liked how she was like, she managed her time very well. Like she knew they had to do it this amount of time, so she cut it off for that amount of time or whatever. And then she also like acted with the students as they were in their groups and they was doing the work that she wanted them to do.
I like that when a student had got an answer correct, that she had the students like praise them. So I thought that was very neat.
Yeah, the taking of the picture. Yeah.
I really liked the collaborative learning piece also.
Yes.
I think the first lady referenced that, and I loved the reading cards, how that the students flipped those over when it was time to focus and really read the text before moving on with the lesson. And I've taught middle school math for years, and that collaborative learning that you saw those students interacting with in those groups, that takes a lot of time and routine and procedure in your classroom. And I see teachers give up on that strategy so easily because it can be frustrating. So she's got those babies really, really using that strategy effectively.
Agreed. I always say that about middle schools. They are always saying, oh, they can't work in groups. They argue. Da, da, da. I'm like, they have been trained from kindergarten to 5th grade. That's all they do is work in groups. All they do is switch buildings at 6th grade. That is in them. You know, crack the whip. They can do it. But I hear that a lot from my friends that teach middle school. Like, they hate to be in groups. No, they're good at changing it up for you. Okay, let's now flip our lens to the teacher. What did we see the teacher doing that was so effective?
I love the fact that she had clear expectations. Like when she started, she told them exactly what she was looking for, what she expected of them, and she laid it out there. So there were no questions once she got started. They knew what they were doing.
Correct. I loved her opening with the objective on the board. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Anything else you noticed the teacher doing?
I like that she had color-coded cards and everything was kind of so orderly and organized, but especially with color. I love that she added that.
That's good for our dyslexic friends.
And her walking the room and observing and asking questions to the small group to get everyone engaged and
Yeah.
answer questions, and even the quiet students.
And she could tell who was on task and who wasn't just by walking that room. So, yes, all good things that you all are observing. All righty, let's see. I am going to go back to our evidence sorting form. Now, as we think about the two teachers, right, and we start talking about we're going to provide them a rating on their teaching. When we look at a 4 and we look at the 3 and the 2 and the 1, you rate it as you see fit. You know, I always say this is such a subjective document that we have to make objective, right? Because subjectively, I can say you are 3. I make it objective when I put my evidence there because I can support why I made you a 3 on that observation. So when we start talking about, and I'm going to go back to the very first teacher and her lesson being aligned to standards and represent a coherent sequence of learning, I would say, yes, I thought she was a 4 because I could tell that she knew exactly what standard she was teaching. They were comparing and contrasting. And a very upper level part of that standard is 2 different texts. And was it coherent and focused? Yes, I saw all those things. You may watch it and say, well, it was aligned to the standards, but I don't think it was very focused, and may give her a 3 there. But when you do that, it needs to be supported in the evidence. I don't want you to take what you wrote out in your sorting, your scripting form, and drop that in as evidence, because telling me the teacher walked around the room only gives me a piece of that. Tell me what evidence, why do you think that educator needed to get a 4 or a 3 or 2 or 1? And then it may be an area, as I said before, that you just did not observe it. So you are going to put NA there, that you did not observe it. Now, when we get to domain 2 and we're looking at student understanding, that's when you're watching the students. How is the student interacting with this learning, right? It says assist students in taking responsibility for learning and monitoring student learning. Well, when we watched that second video, we could tell that the teacher was monitoring because she was up, she was around the room, she was checking in and connecting with kids, asking the questions, giving them time to respond, even supporting the response when one was struggling. She asked the one beside to tell, but she knew they had talked about it because they had their reporting form that they were jotting down their answers. So you're looking for those things. And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this because I believe this in my whole spirit. These documents are not punitive. When you observe a teacher, you're looking for good, right? Because we all have good and we all know what we're doing because we all went to school to get the diploma that got us here. So look for the good things that are happening. Don't go in and saying, oh, she did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, because then everybody's a 1 or a 2. I do believe in that. I just think we look for good. And when we see the things that need to offer feedback, we're there to offer support. That's our role. We're there to support. So never, ever am I thinking punitively. So that's my spiel on that. Any questions, comments, concerns about the scripting, sorting, evidence, narrative portion of this assignment?
Dr. Cockrell, I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Looking at the numbers, and just because I can get caught in the weeds of things, like 1, 2, 3, 4, how do you go about when you see a teacher that's a 3 or could be a 4? Where is that middle ground? I know we don't have 3.25, 3.5. How do you do that?
I'm going to be honest with you. I lean up. I am not going to crush somebody's spirits over a couple of points. It is. Think about the kid that you have to tell them they didn't get their 5 in the map scores. It's like it breaks your heart because that kid's a 5, but he's a 3. You are 364. Like I hate to crush a kid's spirit. I hate to crush a teacher's spirit. And I always say this: I only hire the best teachers. even the ones that are fresh out of college. I hired you because you're better than all the other fresh out of college kiddos. So I'm not going to crush your spirit, but I will have a conversation about I'm giving you a 4, but I'm going to highlight some pieces and say, I would love to see this the next time I come in.
Yes, man. I love hearing that. I love the way, exactly. And I'm thinking this too, and I'm learning how this goes with the state of Mississippi. This is all new to me. How does it make a difference if you have a certain number of 4s, certain number of 3s as your teachers, or I don't know how they even look at that. Okay.
It doesn't matter, but if you have a building full of 2s, that's not a good thing. I always think I want teachers that I would want to teach my own personal children. And that's how you have to treat teachers. And if you're not that person, then I'm going to coach you up, or I'm going to help you make a decision for where your heart should be. Because not everybody is a great teacher, and that's understandable. But I always say improvement plans, the word improvement is the word. Like, we're here to help teachers improve. And then some people come to that, the realization of, I don't like this. And so that's what you're here for as an administrator. Any other questions about this assignment before I move on to the next thing? Okay, give me a second. This is me rebooting again. Let me make sure I'm on the right screen. That's the biggest thing. Because Zoom doesn't like when I switch up. Okay, I'm now going to backtrack, guys, to your assignment with the data project. Sometimes things like to open, and then other times not so much. Okay, so we're going to look at the piece of that data project that's new. You've already completed one part, so now we're looking at the newest part, and that's the template. Well, Zoom said no. The newest part of the template said no again. Third time's the charm. I'm going to live there. Okay, that third time's the charm. I say it every time. All righty, so this is the piece that we need to spend just a moment talking about. I have been asked in emails about strategies and things sometimes overlapping. And I'm going to say the way we teach English language arts, the literature and the informational, they kind of do overlap, right? Like the way we strategize and we put things in place to support those kiddos. So should strategies look exactly the same? I'm going to say no, because you guys are a group of 4 to 5 members in your groups, and we can come up with different strategies. If one of our strategies is that you're meeting with the interventionist, I need to know what is it the interventionist is doing. The strategies piece is the doing. What are we doing when we pull kids? What are we doing when we say we're doing an intervention? The person responsible, you can put the interventionist there or the literacy specialist there. What is our timeline? Is this something that these kids, if we're working on RI 5.5, are we going to work on that for a whole year? I hope not. Because if we do, we're going to be saying that kid never gained that skill. So timeline, it should be something that we can go ahead and put a timeline on, talk about the resources we're going to use, and how are we going to check for understanding. Because the evidence of progress is, how do we go back and check to make sure these kiddos are ready to move on to the next standard that there's a deficit in. So this particular document, I want you guys, as you're meeting in your groups and you're working on this, to be meaningful. Because I'm telling you, when you are in a data meeting, this is the piece that help teachers understand how to move kids. Because believe it or not, you have some teachers that are sitting in classrooms and they don't really know what to do to help a kid. It's like I've hit a brick wall. And this is where you as the leader are going to pull in resources, whether it is your interventionist or your literacy specialist, whether it's you. that you're going to sit down and come up with strategies, and you're going to talk about things that you've seen work, things that don't work, people, resources. You know, that's where this document is important. I'm not telling you guys that some strategies won't overlap, because they will, but who's responsible, the timeline, the resources you're using, and the evidence. You don't need to be cutting and pasting 2 strategies, or cutting and pasting 2 SMART goals. That's the case. We don't need to do 2. Okay. So be thoughtful as you're filling out this document. I don't mind answering questions if you're getting confused about this document. But again, you know, you got 4 people. We can come up with different things that we can put in place. Let me also hit on the things that you need in order to satisfy this actual assignment. You actually have to turn in, it's a compilation, right? You have your first sheet that you've already turned in. You're adding on, right? So the first thing I'm going to see is your cover letter, your cover sheet, I'm sorry. The next thing I'm going to see is template 1 for the data project. The second thing I'm going to see, or third, is going to be that actual second template. And then your narrative is the last thing that should be in there. It's a compilation. So when you turn in part 2, it's all the pieces together. And the last thing is your data. In order to get 100 on this assignment, I'm going to need to be able to see all those things. And I'm not going to ask you to resubmit it. I'm going to grade it, and I'm going to send it back to you graded. Let me go back through that one more time. You need a cover sheet. You need the first template. I don't need all that markings that were in there for suggested items. Delete that out. If it's on your template, you need that one box. Then that third page is that second template that I just showed you. And then your fourth page is your narrative. That's what you need. And then you're going to upload your data. If you put it on that, in that first set, it may be the next pages. If you want to upload the data separately, I'm comfortable with either. Okay? That's what you need to complete this assignment. And it is worth 100 points. So please, please, please have all those things when you submit. Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question. When you
Yep.
said the first template, what are you referring to again?
Okay, I'm going to pull it up. Give me a moment. Your first template was what you turned in with the first data project.
Dr. Crocker, I got a suggest. Is it going to take it as spreadsheet and convert it to a PDF?
I have no idea what you mean. Say that again.
So my data's probably in a spreadsheet.
Yes, that's your data.
So,
Whatever you turned in the first time as your data. I don't want something different. I just want that same set of data.
but it's in a spreadsheet. Would the spreadsheet upload or would it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it will upload. So
That's
this
due
is the
this
first.
Sunday, correct?
No, that's not due this Sunday. I thought this Sunday is
Oh
your.
yeah, no, the next Sunday, correct?
Yes, the
Okay,
next.
okay.
Okay. So this is the first template. When I talk about that first template, this is what you turned in for the very first assignment for your group project. When I say delete this, I mean, I don't want any of this stuff. All I want to see is this filled in. You can delete all of this, because your second page should be that second template. And if you change yours to be in landscape mode, you're going to have to do a page break in order to have a straight sheet and then a landscape sheet, portrait to landscape. You have to do a page break to do that. And I had to learn to do that when I did a dissertation. So if you don't know how to do that, play with it. It's really simple. But that's what is expected. So first page, cover page, then this, then the other second template, and then your narrative is the next page after that. All right. Hopefully that made sense. again, I am not a punitive person. I really want y'all to get all your points. When I do final grades, I get excited to put all A's in. I'm just that person. I'm your cheerleader.
Quick question.
Mitchell's hands raised, and then come back to you, Brittany. Okay.
Hey, Dr. Cocker, on the cover sheet that we put on it, since we worked in the group for it, do we need to put all our names on the cover sheet, or are we just having an individual cover sheet for each one of our submissions? How do we need to do that?
I mean, you can put all the group members on it. I'm not in favor of either or, because I have a list of who's in which group, so I know how to grade them. If I start in group 1, I grade everybody in group 1, because I do that because I want to make sure you're all synced in to the same assignment. That proves that you worked as a group. Everybody did the exact same assignment. So no, I'm not married to either or.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Brittany?
On the narrative, you may have already answered this and I haven't actually went through it. The narrative, is that all 4 of us working together, or is that, okay, so it's all 4 of us. But
Yes.
it's, okay. Thank you.
All right.
I have a question.
Ms. Stanton's hand is raised, and then we'll come to you, Melanie.
For the first assignment that we turn in this Sunday that's due, we don't include the spreadsheet with the data. It's literally just that templates for this first group assignment.
Right. The first project is just that first page. Delete
Okay.
all the stuff at the
Right.
bottom. All I want is that chart.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. Somebody else's hand was raised. Melanie, that's where we were.
I apologize to Miss Stanton. I'm not familiar with Zoom, so I don't know how to raise my hand. I'm still looking for that little hand raise. So I think you answered the question that I had. When specifically were you looking for the data? It's not with template 2 or the narrative, or just at the
No,
very.
your data should be turned in with project 1 and 2.
Okay, so every time we turn a part in, our data should be attached to the bottom.
Yes. Let me say that again, because I don't want anyone to miss that, because there is a point. You lose points for that. When you turn in the first project, it should be that cover sheet, template 1, and your data. Okay? That's all that's required for the very first one. And then all the other things. I jumped to the second project date because that's the one people lose the most points. And I hate that. Talisha?
So going back to when you said attach the data, if we submitted it already, can we go back to and add it on that part where it's, or is it
You don't even have to go and add it on. Go back in the Dropbox and just attach that document, just like you're uploading it again. When I get it on my end, I have a Dropbox. So I see everything you've submitted. If you submit an assignment to me 14 times, all 14 submissions are in there. I just go to the last one is what is presented to me. So anytime you have like multiple submissions of something, all you're doing is going back to the Dropbox and add the data. That's it. And that takes less work for you to have to take it and try to add it on and all of that. Because I'm okay if the data is in a separate document. Because sometimes it's hard to cut and paste it into your Word document. Julia, hand raised.
Yes, thank you. So this week, cover sheet, template 1, and data. And then next week, cover sheet, template 2, and data again?
Okay. First one correct. Second one, you have all 5 items have to be submitted for the second project.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, you have, for the first one, you're right. You have your cover letter, the template 1, and your data. That's it. The second data project, you have cover sheet, template 1, template 2, narrative, and data.
Thank you.
And everybody knows what to put in for their mock evaluation. Mock evaluation, you need a cover letter, not cover letter, I've been reading those, a cover sheet. You need your scripting, sorting, narrative, for that assignment. It's a lot. And I will put up a video for this week so y'all can, I'll rehash all of this in the instructor video. So you'll, if you need to hear it again. I'm a double checker, so I understand having to double check what I have out there because I like all my points. All right. I think for me, that is, let me check. I have a lesson plan. So let me double check the lesson plan to make sure I didn't miss something. We talked about SMART goals, your template. We went over that. Okay. And when we're looking at the second SMART goals, the narrative, you're writing about the root causes, right? You have to really get into what are root causes for for the students to not getting that standard mastery. And so when we look at root causes, I always say it's so easy to do in math. Kids can't multiply and divide because of something they missed before that. Kids can't do fractions because of something they missed before that, the prerequisites to a skill. But I also know in ELA, kids can't summarize if they can't identify a main idea in detail, right? Kids can't do certain things because if you're looking at a science standard, because a standard they didn't learn in third grade, right? So when you start looking at root causes, attendance can be a root cause. If a kid has math first block every day and they don't make first block, well, why are we not progressing in math? We've missed the subject content. We can't pass the test if I haven't gotten the content. So when we start looking at root causes, I want y'all to have some conversation and some dialogue around why is it this standard is one that the kids aren't mastering. So that's another part of that I wanted to make sure I put an emphasis on. I think that is all the things. I've never taught this class this quickly on a Saturday. But that is all. I thought I saw a comment in the chat. Let me make sure I didn't miss something. Yes, each assignment does have a rubric that has all the components that should be included in each assignment. I agree 100%, Noel. That's how that's how I grade your assignments. I have it open in this screen and on the other side is the rubric and I'm going through it and that's how I grade it. So if you follow that rubric, you will get all of your points. If there are no other questions, oh wait, Brittany, I see you.
So I went back in. We didn't submit our data originally. I just hit resubmit assignment. That's not going to go over what I've already submitted. Only option I see is resubmit assignment. Just do resubmit and upload my data. Okay.
Yes. And I will see both. I will check both. All right.
Dr. Cockrell, may I ask one quick question?
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to make sure before we submit this today, we're going to send in with our cover sheet, our template one, and go through that. Quick question on that. The strategies that we have, we located that as well through the standards. Do we need to add our own terminology to our strategies for that? Is that from?
So that's confusing on that template, and I need to go in and I'm going to adjust that template and delete all that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because those strategies, I don't need those listed in that first document. Those strategies literally are going to be what you put in the second document.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So you don't need any of that for this first assignment. The only thing you need for this first assignment is that block of information.
Gotcha. And then do we add a reference page? That's my final question.
I am not looking for a reference page.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Katrina wants to know, when do groups meet? I'm guessing everybody has a different format. Does anybody from my group want to kind of share?
We just did a group FaceTime. So, because our group, everybody had iPhones. So we all just did a group text and decided on a time and did a group FaceTime.
Our group actually had a Google Meet. So that's another strategy or another outlet you can use.
We have a Zoom meeting. We just all pick a date and time every week and when we can all meet, and that's what we do.
Right. We have an ongoing email thread and an open document that we all can edit. So when we make an edit to that document, we just throw it in the email thread.
Okay. All right. And I think Megan put in the group, they do a group chat. So I think everybody has a different method and days and times because you have to work it out within your schedules. So hopefully, Katrina, y'all get a good method going. One last thing before I let you all go, please make sure you signed in the chat. That is the way I will count attendance today. If you did not put your name, your William Carey name, and your group number in the chat, you will not get credit for today. So please do that. And if you don't have any other questions or comments or concerns, you can log off. Have a wonderful Saturday. It's a beautiful day. I've been sitting outside since I woke up at 6 o'clock.
Dr. Crocker, one question.
Yes, sir.
On that data analysis, there's a part where you can put attached file. Is that okay if I attach it as a file?
Yes,
Okay.
it will show up on my side if you attach it as a file.
Okay.
Do we have a meeting with Dr. Sellers today?
No.
No, okay.
Not that I know
So this
of.
is the only meeting that we had? Okay, perfect. Thank
Unless
you.
you have another class that's meeting today, but my class is the only one I think is meeting today. We try not to
Okay.
overlap, so y'all don't have a full day of just virtual classes.
Okay.
It should be your only one today.
I thought
Perfect,
we
thank
did have a meeting with her at 10:30.
Today?
Yeah, I thought there was an optional meeting.
I don't know about that one then. I think it's that graduation meeting, now that you said that out loud. I saw an email about a meeting.
I think so, but I think it's optional. I don't think it's mandatory.
Okay, the mandatory meetings I'm required to drop in my module, and I didn't have to drop anything in my module, so it may be one of those that's optional. And if you're close to graduation, if I read it correctly, there was some information out there about graduation.
Hey, Doc, I think she also said, based off one of those emails that she sent, pertaining to the classes in the fall, that we didn't have to meet, that she gave all the information in that email.
That we didn't have to meet today?
Yes.
Okay, so y'all may not have to meet. Go back through your emails just to be sure, though. I would tell you that much. I'm going to be honest with the way my summer is set up. I'm not as tapped into all those William Carey emails. If I scan them and they don't pertain to 602, I come out real quick. I'm just being honest, y'all.
It was also about if we're going to graduate in May
Or
versus August, if we were going to push through or slow down a little.
Okay. I scanned that. I remember that vaguely. All right, guys, I'm going to leave the meeting so everyone will get out of it. I just wanted to give people time to sign in that had not. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend and enjoy the 4th of July with family and friends.